In this video, I'm going to give an example of how much time reusing parts can save you on your next project. The 6-hour per part search time we discussed in this video is based on the Reduced Program Costs Through Parts Management paper written by the Parts Standardization and Management Committee. Now that's a mouthful. The paper also says, for every hour of search time, there are 10 hours of documentation. We discussed this paper in more detail in the previous video, and you can find a link to that video in the description. Even if it takes you half the time the paper shows to search for a part and 10% of the time the paper shows to document, the time savings are still crazy when you reuse CAD models for the parts you use in your designs. Even with the reduced search time, every new part you enter into a parts management system will still take you 6 total hours between part search and documentation. So to break that down, that's 3 hours to search for the part, which is half the time that the report says, and 3 hours to document. So 10% being 1 hour per hour spent searching. So that's a total of 6 hours. Those hours are usually spread over the life of a project, which gives the illusion of quick search time when initially looking for a part. 6 hours on average to search for and document a part is 75% of a day's work for every part used in a design. To give an idea of how much time savings this scenario equates to, let's look at a 400 part assembly. If thinking in standard parts helps you reuse 10% of the necessary parts for the assembly, that would be 40 less new parts added. It will save you 240 engineering hours on that 400 part project. Would your 400 part design be better if you spent an extra 240 hours or 6 weeks working on value added design? Or what if you were able to finish a project 6 weeks ahead of schedule? Or let's split the difference. What if you had 3 extra weeks to work on the innovative portion of your project, cut costs for your assembly, and finish 3 weeks ahead of your deadline? How would that make you look to your manager? Basing the estimate on 10% reuse is actually a conservative number in many industries. One manufacturer we work with reuses 70% commercial off-the-shelf parts in some of their designs. In the same 400 part assembly we just discussed, 70% reuse would be 280 standard parts that are reused. At 6 hours per part, they're saving 1,680 total engineering hours. That's 42 weeks of time savings, or nearly 10 months. What if your team was able to spend 21 extra weeks designing the unique features of a product and finish 21 weeks ahead of schedule? Now, engineers often get siloed within their own department and aren't aware of what happens on a project after it leaves their desk. It isn't only the time you spend drawing the part that costs the company resources. There are other costs as well. There is part design, which you're likely familiar with, but the part also needs to be approved, tested, and documented. Someone has to source the physical part or manufacture it. There are costs to keeping a physical part in inventory after it's manufactured, and logistical costs as well. By standardizing parts for reuse, a Fortune 100 manufacturer we work with was able to cut their purchase part count by 25%. That's no small feat considering they have thousands of engineers accessing their system and using millions of parts every year. By reusing parts, you can cut engineering costs and increase your product's speed to market.